Good evening, Council. Mayor Venezia will not be here this evening for our regular meeting on June 28th, so I entertain a motion for acting mayor for tonight's meeting.
I would make a motion that Dr. Davis assume the position of acting mayor for tonight's meeting.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Cruz. Okay, and this, I will call the roll, and this will be for attendance and on the motion. Councilwoman Mundell?
Here and yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Here.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis?
Here.
Councilman Rockwell?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting to the extent then known was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the Law of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act. By posting such notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by email notification generated by IQM2 in the offices of the Independent Press, Bloomfield Life, the Star Ledger, Patch, Baristanet, and Tap into Bloomfield. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we will begin with a proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month. Councilman Rockwell, would you please do us the honor?
As one of two openly gay representatives on the council, it's my pleasure to read this proclamation. I read it yesterday. We had a Bloomfield Pride celebration yesterday, and I read the proclamation and presented a copy to the Bloomfield Pride organization. Whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long in coming for many Americans. And whereas the Stonewall Uprising, a historic turning point for LGBT rights that occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City, when LGBT citizens rose up and resisted police harassment that arose out of discriminatory criminal laws that have been since declared unconstitutional. In the 50 years since, civil rights for LGBT people have grown substantially, and LGBT pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June. And whereas in communities throughout the country, barriers that limit the potential of LGBT Americans have been torn down, but too many continue to encounter discrimination and unfair treatment, especially for transgender and gender nonconforming individuals. We stand in solidarity to show our support for strengthening equal rights laws, to show that there is strength in diversity, and to proclaim it gets better. And whereas all people deserve to live with dignity and respect, free from fear and violence, and protected against discrimination, during Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month, we celebrate the proud legacy LGBTQ+ individuals have woven into the fabric of our nation. We honor those who have fought to protect our union, and we continue to work to build a society where every child grows up knowing that their country supports them, is proud of them, and has a place for them exactly as they are. And whereas Bloomfield Pride LGBTQ+ community of Bloomfield was established to celebrate, educate, and advocate on behalf of LGBT residents, now therefore, I, Michael J. Venezia, Mayor of the Township of Bloomfield, along with the members of the Township Council, do hereby dedicate and proclaim June 2021 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month, and offer this proclamation to the Bloomfield Pride LGBTQ+ community of Bloomfield, and celebrate the great diversity of the residents of Bloomfield and the diversity of our Township Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rockwell. Do we have any communications?
Yes, thank you. We have an investigated groundwater contamination at Chester Avenue and North 16th Street. There is approval to Bloomfield South Junior High urban renewal for flood hazard area verification. Clean water financing program priority system. Those three were all from NJDEP. From the Department of Transportation, safe routes to schools, requests for applications. Also from the Second River Joint Meeting, a resolution that was adopted for assessment to municipalities due to treasurer of the Second River. Let's see, County of Essex, the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, Green Acres funding for Brookdale Park Conservancy. From Paul Saxon Environmental, a response action outcome for My First Time Learning Center. Hazardous substance discharge notifications for 15 Chapman Road, 24 Kinder Drive, 120 Arlington Avenue, 122 Bloomfield Avenue, 230 Sylvan Road, 120 Grove Street. From the chosen freeholders, dated June 4th, 2021, there was an ordinance number 2021, number 6, reappropriating $7,800,000 of funds not needed for their original purposes and used for various improvements for various county facilities. There's also number 7, amendment to county ordinance establishing rules and regulations for the safety and conduct of persons using Essex County parks, playgrounds, recreational facilities, and other county buildings and property. A remedial action permit termination application for the former Hoffman BMW regarding groundwater, and also the similarly for a protectiveness biennial cert form for former Hoffman BMW for property. Out of town, there was 2 pieces of communication regarding Bloomfield, though. The Glen Ridge Country Club is having a barbecue and fireworks display to be held on Sunday, July 4th, and from the Township of Montclair, proposed amendments to their Montclair Township Master Plan. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Louise. Introduction of proposed ordinances on first reading. Councilwoman Mundell.
Mayor and Council, I have an amendment to Chapter 315, Land Development of the Township Code, permitting Class 5 cannabis retail reestablishments as conditional uses in the Central Business District and the B2 Neighborhood Business District. This is state legislation that is required for municipalities that wish to prohibit or regulate cannabis-related activities. We have to do so by ordinance. So moved.
I'll move it, second it.
Moved by Councilwoman Mundell and seconded by Councilman Joanno. Discussion?
The one recommendation I would have regarding this state mandated ordinance from the state of New Jersey down to the municipalities, I've had a number of questions regarding. Simply, there's so much misinformation among people who've called me, who've contacted me. And my suggestion to the administration, as well as the mayor, is that between now and the second reading, which I believe is July 19th, we have a Zoom, some method of communicating with the public for informational purposes as to the who's and the whys, because there's so much, there's everything and everything, so to speak, some off the wall, and I didn't believe I was in a position to address it. And I think it would come best from the administration. So understanding the fact that this mayor and council are in a situation that by August we must adopt a certain position going forward. And if we don't, there are consequences. And the public needs to be aware that this is a difficult decision. If we do act, if we don't act, but something has to give. So they clearly understand the process that we are involved in the best interest of following the law as it is, and it will give the community an opportunity to share their concerns and the administration to accurately provide the information that is updated, accurate, and so on. That is my suggestion to the acting administrator and the mayor who's not with us, that going forward, that a meeting be arranged either by Zoom. I don't know how many people we can put in here, but basically our Zoom meetings have been very successful. Have 1 or 2 of them so that people can participate. And at the end of the day, the opportunity has been given, because the last thing I want to hear is I didn't know. Well, you're going to be given every opportunity to know. If you choose not to, it's on your watch. So that's my concern. I'm sharing administrator and ask for your consideration on this matter.
Attorney Parlavecchio, could you share, because Councilman Joanna was right on target, if we, could you go through the major points of this? Because there are people who are watching now would like to know what are those, that we can go through that now. And then that could be one. We could also do something additionally, but.
Councilwoman, absolutely. I think that's a good idea. And as to getting the word out, in addition to that, after first reading tonight, this ordinance is referred to the planning board for their review to make sure it's compliant with the master plan and the ordinances of the town. So there will be more than just, even if we have a Zoom meeting, that's another forum for a public meeting. But yeah, I'm happy to go through some of the finer points, and I think what's probably would be top of mind for people, just to go through it. And I went through a little bit of this at our last meeting. Just to go back to the beginning, in 2020, the New Jersey voters, and actually 71% of Bloomfield voters, approved an amendment to the state constitution to allow for the legalization of cannabis. In February of this year, Governor Murphy signed into law what we're calling the New Jersey Cannabis Act, but it's got a much longer name, New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Enforcement Assistance and Marketplace Modernization Act, which legalizes the recreational use of marijuana by adults 21 and over, and establishes a regulatory and licensing scheme and framework for commercial recreational operations, use and possession. What we're doing and why we're doing it at this time and at this pace is, in that law in February, it gave the municipalities 180 days to either opt in or opt out of allowing and regulating cannabis use in their communities. So we have until August 21st to act by ordinance, which doesn't mean on August 21st you come in and think about it for the first time. As you know, we've been going through this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and even just to get the ordinance process, we're starting now in June to make sure we're compliant by August. We could opt out, but it seems that would be and that's the easy way to take it. That's a one-page ordinance for the most part, but that would really fly in the face of what the voters' will was, 71% of the voters, and certainly what I've heard from this mayor and council. So what we're looking to regulate and organize are the 6 marketplace classes of licenses. And the most commonly talked about one would be retail sale of cannabis. And that's the one we're focusing on at this point in this ordinance. Parallel to our world of acting by ordinance and trying to get this done by August 21st, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is also working and has to come up with its rules and regulations for how this law is going to be regulated throughout the state by the same date. So we're flying a little, not blind, but maybe with dark glasses on at dusk, until we get the regulations and rules on this. We do have an ordinance, a law that's very lengthy and very informative, but there are still rules and regulations to come. So my recommendation, and I think the mayor's recommendation, was let's step lightly, let's step into this this ordinance with doing something that we think we can manage fairly well, and that would be retail. And leave some of the other ones for a later time. So we can opt in to the other 5 license types at any time in this next 5-year period. If we don't do anything, then we don't have the opportunity to, if we don't do anything by way of ordinance, we don't have the opportunity to regulate our town, for lack of a better word, for the next 5 years, and we're locked in. You can opt out and then opt in at any time. So we want to take it slow. We can opt in now with retail. We're going to put it, or recommend that it gets put in our central business district, in our B2 neighborhood business districts, where other businesses are, frankly. And what we're trying to do is limit it geographically to the 3 sectors of the town. And we don't call it ward, we don't call them ward by ward in the ordinance, because for somebody who's wants to perhaps locate a business here, it was easier to put a geographical demarcation there. So we used Bay Avenue, we used the railway, which is ostensibly Belleville Avenue, and then south of there. So no more than 2 retail establishment in any one zone. We would like to see micro businesses make up half of that, and that's something that the state is really focusing on, so that smaller businesses are able to take advantage of this and have really equal access to this new type of business as larger, let's say, nationwide operators. We're able to manage that it must go through site plan review, so that the look of the store is something we think is in keeping with our business district. For instance, not to have cannabis paraphernalia on display, or to make it look something that would demean maybe the rest of the business district, or not send the message that perhaps this township wants to send with this new business. I think that may cover some of the high points, or some of the pressing issues. Again, the other types of licenses are things like cultivators and manufacturers and wholesalers, and I think that'll take a little more thinking and perhaps reliance on regulations once those come into play. I don't know that Bloomfield has the same manufacturing space that it once had, and in fact the master plan doesn't really encourage that. But the regulations may come up with something that suggests it is possible. One area I didn't talk about. The state law does allow municipalities to impose a tax on this, so 2% for retailers on the retail sales, and that's collected directly by the municipality, and it's treated almost like a property tax, where the town can put a lien on it if that's not paid, and it is something that's certainly a benefit to the taxpayers as well. We are trying to have these put in places where there will be parking, there will be ample parking. I think I'm fairly confident in saying that I don't think each and every adjacent municipality will opt in to this law and allow for retail sales. So I think that means we could see some more foot traffic in our retailers, and for that reason, I think parking is important. We worked on this over the course of really months. Myself, Mr. Rubin, who's the land use attorney for Planning Board and Zoning Board, Bonnie Flynn, Anthony Marucci, so to really get a flavor of everybody who touches the zoning aspects of this town and planning. So it was not entered in, it was not drafted lightly or with one set of eyes on it. It was really a combination of hearing what you said, hearing what the voters said, and talking to the experts in the field. So I think that's it. And this is just first reading. Again, it will go to the planning board. They'll review it. If they have recommendations, that can come back. If you sit with it a little bit, think about it, and have amendments, those can be made as well prior to second reading.
Councilwoman.
A sidebar to this discussion, in the fact that it's going to the planning board to review our zoning and planning, it just points to a large issue with the lack of the updating of the master plan. I just want to put that out there.
Sure.
Because the last time that has been done is 2005. And we know the community of Bloomfield in 2005 is not recognizable of the Bloomfield of 2021 in terms of what has happened in terms of development. So I think this may be a nucleus to incorporate that same conversation, Mike and Administrator, to begin that discussion, which I think is, we're totally out of compliance 16 years and reflects the Bloomfield of today. And when issues of new businesses come into town, we can reflect that in our zoning and planning. It doesn't become I don't want to say a crisis mode, but it's already implanted as to the kind of Bloomfield we want to see in 5 years, 10 years going forward. Because the master plan, like other documents, is used by the zoning and planning for future development and use within the township. So that would be my suggestion as an ancillary item, that in your discussions on this matter, we expand to the potential for incorporating a master plan going forward. Thank you, gentlemen.
Councilwoman Cruz?
I just wanted to go back and parallel Councilman's earlier comments about the importance of public information sessions and the time to get Q&A around the subject, because I know people have a lot of them. So I'm glad we've started and we have the time to complete before the deadline. So.
And Councilwoman, and both Councilwoman Davis and Cruz, I think you're right. And to Councilman Joanno's point, the more information, the better. This is it's a touchy topic. It really is. I mean, people come to it with lifetime of one perception of what it is and what it, maybe not what it isn't, but what it is for sure, what they think it is, and now it's a legal retail substance in the state. So I don't think you just flick a switch like that and say, okay, now it's just like going out and buying a six-pack of beer or something. It may be, but I think that's all part of the information process, and I think you're on the money.
Any other comments?
One more comment. I don't know if this is a place for it, but use of cannabis, like public use, if we could just have a point of reiteration about where that's acceptable or not. Especially like in our parks, we know we adopted no smoking in our parks with cigarettes, but we now need to add cannabis to this too. So just something for note for future as we're planning.
You're right.
Good point. Good point.
Anyone else?
I think I'm going to guess the same.
All right. Louise, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilman Joanna, would you take number 2, please?
Thank you, Mayor. We have an ordinance to amend Chapter 254, Vehicles in Traffic, Article Metered Parking, 254-59, Schedule 19, Angle Parking. Proposal to expand reverse angle parking on Glenwood Avenue. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Joanno, seconded by Councilwoman Cruz. Louise, will you please call the roll? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Any discussion? Louise, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilwoman Cruz, will you take number 3?
I have Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. This is for space removal, 29 Hill Street and 67 Franklin Street. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Cruz, seconded by Councilman Rockwell. Any discussion? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilman Rockwell, will you please take number 4?
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. This is for parking spaces at 12 Kilmer Court, 112 Mayolas Avenue, and 89 Broughton Avenue. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Rockwell and seconded by Councilwoman Mundell. Any discussion? Comments? Questions?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Hearing upon adoption or amendment of proposed ordinances on second reading. Councilwoman Mundell, will you take number 1, please?
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 217 fees within the Township Code of the Township of Bloomfield for the farmers market. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Mundell, seconded by Councilman Joanno. Any comments from the council? Any from the audience?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilwoman Joanna, will you please take number 2?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 217, fees within the Township Code of the Township of Bloomfield regarding the town green. Update of the 2021 recreation fee list ordinance to include a fee structure for the rental of the town green as well as the 2021 summer camp registration fee list. While no organized athletic activities take place on the town green, permits may be issued to Bloomfield residents, groups, or organizations for small gatherings or public events according to this proposed ordinance fee list. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Joanno, second by Councilwoman Cruz. Any discussion or comments by the council? Questions? Any from the audience?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilman Rockwell, will you please take number 3?
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 254, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, Section 254-18, Parking Prohibited at All Times. This is for North Fullerton Street. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Rockwell and seconded by Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comment from the council? From the public? Okay. Louise?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilman Joanna, will you please take number 4?
Thank you, Mayor. I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 254, Vehicles and Traffic, by Article 3, Schedules 254-60, Schedule 20, Loading Zone on North Fullerton Street. So moved.
Fulton. Fulton.
Fulton Street. Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Joanno, seconded by Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments from the council? From public? Okay. Louise?
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilwoman Cruz, will you please take number 5?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 494, Stormwater Control within the Township Code of the Township of Bloomfield. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Cruz, seconded by Councilman Rockwell. Any questions or comments from the council? From public? Louise, please. Call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilwoman Mundell, would you please take number 6?
Sure. Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Mundell and seconded by Councilman Joanno. Any questions or comments from the council? From the public? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes. Councilwoman Cruz, would you please take number 7?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend the Township of Bloomfield ordinance adopting titles for employees and fixing salary ranges. Unrepresented, so moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Cruz and seconded by Councilman Rockwell. Any comments or questions from the council? From the public? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes. Councilman Rockwell, would you please do consent resolutions, please? 1 through 21.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I have consent resolutions 1 through 21. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Rockwell, seconded by Councilwoman Mundell. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Davis, I'm sorry, I'm a step behind. I just wanted to alert you and the council. Resolution 18, you have the current edition of that in front of you. Inadvertently, an older edition got uploaded to the system, so it's really not a drastic change, but it's the resolution that refers the cannabis ordinance to the planning board. I just wanted to make sure that you had the right edition in front of you.
Thank you, Michael. Resolutions. Councilwoman Mundell.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for an emergency temporary appropriations. This is seeking approval to pass a temporary budget. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Mundell and seconded by Councilman Joanno. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
New business. Councilman Joanno, will you take number 1?
We have a resolution authorizing the Bloomfield Township tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills in accordance with PL 1994C-72. The resolution authorizing the tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills for the third quarter 2021. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Joanno and seconded by Councilwoman Cruz. Any discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz, would you please take number 2?
Yes, Mayor and Council, have a resolution award of contract 2020 CDBG roadway program. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Cruz and seconded by Councilman Rockwell. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, Councilman Joanno, would you please take that?
Thank you. A resolution regarding the award of contract 2021, a capital roadway improvement program. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Joanno and seconded by Councilwoman Cruz. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then Councilman Rockwell, would you please do licenses, please?
Mayor and Council have several licenses to be approved, 3 hawker and peddler licenses, and a filming permit for Jeffrey Tutsi. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Rockwell and seconded by Councilwoman Cruz. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Teresa.
All right, I had a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.